Welcome to another MOWTalks. As I've been contemplating the various things that are necessary to share, to release to a generation that are critical, they must be passed on. I think probably the main things that I've come to account of and what the Lord has to deal with in my own heart are things that are very deep heart issues. You know, when it comes to getting hurt, every single person I know gets hurt. They're hurt by mothers, they're hurt by fathers, they're hurt by friends, they're hurt by relationships, they're hurt in their marriages, they're hurt by their parents. People get hurt. And it's very important that we keep short accounts, that we resolve that hurt, that we press in to bringing healing to that hurt, that we've got to forgive. We have to enter that place where Jesus was on the cross, where he said, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. You just got to come to that place where you just begin realizing that, you know, God doesn't want us to maintain this in our life. I've had my moments where things have been really tough. They've been very difficult. A number of years ago, I had two daughters that were abducted and were gone for over 6 years. And during that season, I want you to know I dealt with a hatred and an anger that was just beyond belief. I remember walking into my little girls' rooms and crumbling onto the floor just in tears because I missed them so much. There were a lot of injustices that have been done, and it was painful to me as a dad. But I remember one day when somebody came to my door, a FedEx guy, and in a matter of words basically said that he had friends that took care of other people, and I realized that what he was saying was hideous. It was criminal. And I said, no, I'm fine. I don't want any of that in my life. And I turned around and I said, Lord, does the enemy believe that I become so angry and so bitter that I would consider something like that? And I recognized the weakness of my own heart. It was a devastation to me because I realized my heart was no longer soft. My heart was becoming hard, that I had entrusted my own heart to wicked thoughts, to evil thoughts, to vengeful thoughts, to anger and hostility, and that the sweetness and the ability just to be with Jesus was gone. And so I began realizing at that point in time that I needed to forgive. And I remember saying out loud over and over, Lord, forgive them. Lord, forgive them. And then it went from Lord, forgive to Lord, bless. Lord, would you bless them? Would you bless those that have done this, Lord? Would you bless them? Would you begin bringing life into their life? Father, not just for the safety and joy of my own little girls, but Lord, for their own lives, that they need something that evidently they didn't have, and they felt like they need to steal in order to have it. Lord, bless them. Well, it was during this time that the Lord began teaching me so many things about being offended and carrying offenses. I remember that, you know, when you're offended and when you're bitter towards someone, you carry inside of you that person, the person you're mad with, you wake up with. You actually engage in conversations with other people about that person. You end up going to bed with that person because they're the last thing on your mind, and you're just looking at the reprieve of what God can do and judging them and bringing justice about for their life. And I began realizing that I need to get this person out of my life, and the only way I could get this person out of my life in a meaningful way was to ask God to forgive them. and to bless them and to recognize that God has a future and a hope for them as well. That was the beginning of a powerful move of the Spirit of God. It also taught me that there are things that people will pick up, because there were many people who became offended with me. It wasn't their offense, it was my offense. People were incensed, they were angry, they would say things to me, even during that forgiving time where they'd be like, man, I just wish. And I began recognizing that this thing of picking up an offense is even more hideous than carrying the own unforgiveness in your own heart, because in your own heart, you have the ability to go to God and say, God, forgive them, and you'll be freed. But when you pick up the offense of another, when you pick up the offense of a brother or a sister or a friend or the acquaintance down the road, and I'm not talking about those who want to administer justice. I'm talking about people that pick up an offense and they become incensed and they begin driving people away based upon what happened to somebody else. They begin pushing people away based upon what somebody else has done that has had no bearing on you. It's busybodiness. It's people that are engaged in everybody else's affairs, but they won't take care of their own. And the Lord spoke to me. He said, people who carry offenses, they don't have the same freedom and joy and right, because it's not their offense. Why are they mad at that person? You can only be forgiven from somebody who's actually hurt you. And he said, don't pick up these offenses. Don't walk in a way where these offenses are not your offenses. They're not yours. You don't have to have them. And so we release that. And so when people bring up things about other people, stop believing everything they say. You're not required to live under that offense. I remember when I moved to New England, there were some people who just made it so clear, you need to not relate to this person or this person or this person. This person hurt me and this person hurt that person. And they began sharing all these things about the people that they had been hurt by, and they wanted me to just jump on board and say, you need to jump on board. This is now we'll get a heavy hitter hitting on our side. And I remember looking at them and I said, listen, I'm not going to pick up an offense. I said, I wasn't here when that offense happened and I was not offended. You were. And I remember that the Lord during that time, he said, maybe I brought you here, Danny, to untangle the offenses that some of these people are having. And I began realizing that that's the most important thing. Acts 3:21 is where the Lord is moving in such a powerful way right now. It is where it is the restoration of all things, where God is bringing about the restoration of all things for his people. You want the restoration of all things. You want your life restored. You want your children restored. You want your marriages restored. You want your relationship with people out there restored. You want to be in restoration. Jesus paid for restoration. That's exactly what he paid for. The cross was about restoring, bringing the two that are separate into one. Restoration is the powerful release of God on the earth. And I want to just help you understand that if you've got an offense against anybody, you need to forgive them. You just have to start speaking out. I forgive them. I release them. I break the power of this inside my heart. It's wrecking your own heart. It's ruining you. It's stealing from you the joy that God has for you. And if you picked up the offense of another and you are mad at somebody, but it has nothing to do with you, you must release them. You must just say, Father, please take this out of me. It's their responsibility. It's not mine. And I will not be mad and I will not be mean towards other people who that person thinks is horrible. I'm just not gonna. Because you might want me to walk with that person. You might want me to do ministry with that person. You might want me to work with that person. You might want me to bless that person. You might want me to love that person the way you love them. And if I've got an offense sitting in front of me, I'll never be there. I'll never find it. So I want to bless you today. I believe that the foundation of those who are sons becoming fathers has to be founded in forgiveness. To live out forgiveness. Be easily one of those who can easily forgive. Don't make it difficult on yourself by holding grudges. Don't make it difficult by holding yourself to something that you don't understand. Don't bring up that phrase, you don't understand. Say, Lord, help me understand. Help me understand the humility that's coming into my life as a result of this thing that hurt. Help me understand what it was that you went through on the cross, where you took all of my unforgiveness, all of my stuff, and could say, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Lord, help me to become just like you in this area, Lord. Help me. Help me, Lord. Help me. I want to become one of those who carries easily the presence of God so that the fruit of God can be manifest through me. This is the day to forgive 70 times 7. This is the day where you forgive much more than you ever thought possible. This is the day you begin loving more than you ever thought comprehensible. This is the day where God steps you into a destiny filled with joy, filled with love, and filled with forgiveness. You have an awesome day.